Hi, my name is Carlin Hearn, and this is my audience, Sydney and Jacob. And today I'm going to be doing my persuasive speech on TV damage control. So here goes. Just in the past 3 hours, how many times have you seen an advertisement for a violent or harmful movie just on your phone? They're everywhere. Whether it's on TV, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. We may not be able to control that they're there, but we can control how often we see them. Everywhere we look, we come across things that we wouldn't want our kids of the youth to be able to see. This includes the TV shows they watch, games, video games, Xbox, that's a really big one. And Netflix is also a very big one too. We definitely can help the situation though by taking charge of what our kids watch. TV shows over the past 20 years have evolved very, very greatly. Growing up, my parents wouldn't let me watch Cartoon Network because they thought that the shows gave off a bad message. And they were right, they did. Some of the shows included Ed, Edd n Eddy, Dragon Ball Z, Teen Titan, all of these, the 3 shows that I named off, a lot of them were either just kind of stupid, like had very, didn't really influence kids in a very good way to make good decisions, or they had to do with fighting a lot of fighting, giving them false hope of, a reality in a way. But whenever my parents were growing up, the TV show that no kid was allowed to watch was MTV. And that was mainly because the influence that they were giving on kids, it came through music. And that was the big deal for MTV, was the music videos and the parties and all that they would show on TV, the award ceremonies. A lot of the music videos during the 80s and the 90s, it was all about freedom of expression and being who you want to be, showing off your personality. It was a very big time for that, and MTV was a very big supporter in that. So a lot of parents didn't want their kids to watch that. Video games, however, have changed greatly. Kids back in the day, the only video games that they could play were the ones that were in arcades, like Pac-Man and those little, the race car games that people would play where you sit down and you're racing against each other. I think that's Grand Theft Auto, I think. But nowadays the games are so realistic, almost too much. I know like Call of Duty and Halo, I think is one. They influence mainly young boys a lot because of the amount of gun use. And the content, I sat and watched my brother play one time. The content that is in these video games it's ridiculous how realistic it is. Yet, even though it's so realistic, it also gives them a false reality of what it is in real life. Like whenever Call of Duty, they have a game that's based off of World War II, I think. If that's their expectation of what war is really like, they're going to have a harsh time if they're planning on joining the military when they get older. And mainly because in a video game, you take a life of someone, you don't really think about it twice. It's really nothing. It's a goal to be able to have a kill streak or be able to, get the highest score based off of how many times you shot a person. I think that that's wrong and corrupt, and it's a very bad way to influence a kid, especially with all of the gun violence that we're going through right now, the gun control with the school shootings. I strongly believe that whenever it comes to gun control, it's not the gun, it's not the object, it's the person behind the gun. And they get this sense that killing someone doesn't mean anything. And so whenever they, go into these schools and shoot people just because they're mad. I think it has a lot to do with the media and what they watch and how much of it they watch. Netflix is a very big concern whenever it comes to this kind of stuff because it's not innocent completely in a way that you can block your kids from seeing certain movies, but you can't block them completely. I mean, Netflix, you can let your kid have their own account and be able to, think that they are being able to pick their own movie and have their own freedom to do that, but you're putting a limit on what they can see. It's rated movies that are good for their age. Kids are getting smarter though now, and they can see that their parents have an account as well. Kids are curious. They're going to want to see what's on their parents' account. So there's no password or anything that can block them from seeing that, and so they can easily, anytime they turn on the TV, want to go watch Netflix, go to their parents' account instead of their own and go watch their movies because they see that there's a bigger variety of things that they haven't seen yet, not just cartoons and things of that such. Many other sites are like this as well, not just Netflix. Whenever it comes to listening on the radio, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, I mean, they all have ads and things like that they can influence your kids, and you can't control that unless you were to pay extra for ad-free listening, and that's not something usually that people would want to do, but it is a way to control the amount of ads that they're hearing about the violent movies and such. But in conclusion, blocking the channels that are bad for kids and putting limits on the games that they play will help influence their behavior in the future. And a little TV every once in a while isn't bad for anyone, but always watching it changes a person's thoughts and work motives.